Hi, I'm DJ Ware. On this episode of the CyberGizmo, I'm going to be looking at hardening, at least taking some basic steps, going through an automation process to try to get us from a brand new install that has nothing on it but the package update, and I've changed the IP address to put it on my network as a desktop. So I'm going to be using Ubuntu 2004 GNOME version, and this will be on a NUC 10, so it is on hardware. Yeah, so we'll do that right after this. So I have my my NUC 10 up here. I've already gone through the steps to set this up. I probably should go through at some point showing you guys how to do a manual partition, but I didn't think for this that would be all that useful, since this is coming through on NDI. My mouse is not the fastest in the world, so yeah, as you can see, it's kind of draggy. But anyway, what I'm going to do here is, well, I suppose I should probably go through as Pi, log in as Pi, because I have set up a new user, and I always use the Pi account because I have a lot of Raspberry Pis. So I haven't even been signed on to this yet, so we'll go through the steps to get this set up. And okay, and I don't need live patch. Let me turn off the studio mode here so I can actually see what I'm doing. There we go. Okay. Yeah, not too. The cursor is just not too fast. No, I don't think so. I don't think Canonical needs to see everything I do. Okay. As much as they probably would like that. All right, so the first thing I need to do here is get a terminal window open. And we'll do that right now. And I'll add that to my favorites. The less mouse movement, the better, I think. So hopefully you can see that. So just to show you, I have, well, I guess it's all right. So I have set up this is a UEFI partition, and I have allocated about 1 gig to that. I can just show you. I'll show you what I've done here. So I have this is on my NVMe drive. It's about 500 gig. And I have set up about a 1 gig UEFI partition. I've set up a 4 gig swap partition. I have my root file system is about 15 gig thereabouts. I have allocated 1.9 gig to the temp file, another 14 gig to the var, and then home directory I dumped about 280 gig into it. And then I left a reserve so that if I need to put opt or something else like that and offload my root file system. But just to show you, I'm about 36% in use, so I probably should have taken this up to 20, maybe 25. You know, taken the minimums for a virtual machine for this. It'll probably be okay as long as I don't, get too overboard with installing applications on this. Let's see, var partition is about 10%. Home is, yeah, it's not being used very much, 1% on temp, and that's kind of where things sit right now. So, and the reason I did this was to make sure that I had the pass going into Linus. So why don't we go over to Linus to start out with, then we'll get a baseline on where we're at. So I'll just do an audit system here, and we'll just run that through. One thing I noticed, Ubuntu used to have OSCAP available as a package, and not seeing that on 2004. I'm not sure what's happened to that. I guess because it wasn't really being maintained all that much. I mean, the last time I saw an update to OSCAP on Ubuntu was like 1404. So I don't know what's happened to it, and maybe they removed it or decided not to support it anymore. OSCAP, by the way, is a very good tool for automating hardening operations. However, I will warn you that if you let OSCAP go through your system and you pick one of the more tight security models for OSCAP, and that would apply to Red Hat or Fedora or CentOS. If you pick one of the more tight ones, I guarantee you'll have things that break on your system. It tightens it down to the point where even the basic services will no longer run. So, yeah, so just be aware of that and be careful of it. So, all right, let's see where we're at here. So we've got a score of 65. And I shouldn't have anything about, double check the permissions, that's fine. But I shouldn't have any warnings about, separating my partitions onto home and temp and var, because that's what it wants. And I've done that. So we just have the usual stuff that I always see when I'm starting out. Yeah, I need a password on Grub. I'll probably cover that one in a separate video. It's not hard to do, but it is a pretty lengthy step, and really today I don't want to get down too far into the weeds. Just some basic things to do here. So let me go get set up on the other machine, and I will be right back. Okay, so I've set up I'm on my Ansible server. And I'm gonna do a copy, and I have installed the SSH server on the target box. So I'm gonna copy the public key over to Yellow Ice. And I'll enter the password. And then I'll do a test login to make sure that it's good. Okay, so let's ping it, or I should say, yeah, that's good. Let's. The next thing I want to do is I have a special place in my Ansible host file. This is your inventory of hosts that Ansible will basically run its playbooks against, and today that's exactly what we are going to do. And so I'm going to go down here into the new machine, which is the one I always reserve for when I set up things for the first time. Oops, I guess I didn't. Yeah, I didn't. Or did I? Yeah, I did. All right, let's try that again. All right, good. So I'm going to do a test here and make sure that I can ping it, and I'll do the host inventory group is new, then I'll do a ping, and if it all goes well, it's going to confirm, yeah, it's setting it up. So Ansible does require you to have, well, I shouldn't say require. The default behavior is to set up your keys for access to your servers. Now there are configurations, there are ways you can store the passwords on your disk, but that's not secure. That's not a secure way of handling things. The best way is whenever you're doing SSH between servers is always use your keys. And eventually we will disallow logins on this box altogether. So the only way in will be if you have the private key that matches the public key that you sent to Yellow Ice. So I think we're all set. So let me go over here to my playbook, and I'll show you what I am going to do. So the first thing is I have a shell script that's set up, and it's going to call Ansible Playbook. And Ansible Playbooks, those are a series of steps that you can run against a machine. So you can have a number of tasks, or you're actually calling roles, that you want to have executed in sequence in order to provide some desired state. Now, there's really kind of two ways that you can think of playbooks. I'm not going to get into a real long discussion of Ansible today. If you want to, Jeff Geerling guy has a channel on YouTube, He's written a book on Ansible, and he's doing tutorials right now on Ansible. That's been going on since, I think, March. So if you're interested in that, go over. I'll put a link in my show notes to go over and just go through his tutorials. It's going to take you about 15 hours if you want to go through all of the details about Ansible. But he certainly is doing a much better job than I could. But so let's look at the YAML file for that we're going to execute today. So it's, originally it was set up, I had a whole set of Raspberry Pis. It was about 30 of them, I think, originally, that I had set up. And that was the reason why I set up this init, was so that I could go through it. Now, I'm using a number of Jeff's, his roles. I use one of his called Firewall, which sets up a default firewall. So let's look at what's going on here. So it's going to use the new host group that's in my inventory file. Become true means that I have to become root and on the box, which is most of these things are going to get done. And then there's a pre-task before it starts any of this to make sure that all of my packages are up to date before I get started. And then we start doing the roles, and it executes these in order. So the first one will be to set up a firewall. The second one is using his security role that he wrote. Basically, what this does is it goes through your SSHD config, and it changes a number of the variables in there. It also sets up the auto updater, and also I think it installs fail to ban. It's either done in firewall or in security, I forget which. And then I created one where I'm installing a set of base packages, and then I'm installing Linux master. Now I don't actually need that anymore because I did it manually. So, and the problem, the way that particular role works is that it has a key that has to match a version, and unfortunately I haven't updated this in a while. So I think what I'm going to do is just get rid of that role altogether. Otherwise, it's going to write over what I just wrote out to that. So I'll just delete that. And then the post task is to make sure that everything is good to go. All right, so yeah, it does the final thing. So all right, so I'm going to do an init shell. I don't have to give it root or sudo, nothing, because it's going to ask me for the sudo password. And that password is good during the execution of all those roles. If I jump out of this playbook into another that requires root, it's going to ask me for that password again. So just to tell you. So first thing that the playbooks always do is to go through and gather up some facts. What it's trying to find out here is the type of machine that it's on. And it'll start setting up the firewall. It looks like it's installing, it's in the security script right now. It's installing fail to ban, so I was right about that. It's changing my SSHD config. And actually, in this instance, it's actually missing one. It needs to have, and then it's setting up the automatic updates. It needs to have the protocol set to 2, because the default protocol is set to 1, and that is a security risk. You don't want to run that way. So now my system is taken over here, and it's installing a number of packages that both Linus wants to see and I want on the machine as well. So yeah, we're setting up everything that I need on the box. And then I'm going to check and see how much room I've got left after dividing up the system. One thing I was going to tell you is that I put my home directory on the same drive as my boot. That's probably not wise. You really want to put your home directory on a different drive if you can. Unfortunately, my NUC only has one slot for a NVMe. I could put it on as a USB, I guess, but that will slow it down a bit. So I'll leave it there for now. And I've got a lot of packages I install, so this will take a bit. It's done. All right, so I've done some base hardening. Now, I haven't done any initial configuration yet. The firewall is up, but it's not configured correctly for that box, and we'll have to change that. Also, it has set up fail to ban, and fail to ban, of course, we talked about that last time. So let's go in and into Yellow Ice. Okay, and the first thing I want to do is I want to edit Jeff's firewall bash script. Now he just uses IP tables. He doesn't. This script doesn't do anything with UFW. So if you prefer to do that, you just take that out of the playbook, because he deinstalls it. He deinstalls UFW if he sees it. So let's see. So the only thing, I don't need this. I don't need this. Time server. Yeah, maybe. I might leave that in there. It'll probably get a complaint, but basically this is just the shell script that sets up everything into IP tables for you. So I'm allowing port 22 in. Now Linus isn't going to like that. It wants me to change the port number to something else. And I could certainly do that, but then I have to go change it on every one of my machines as well. So, okay, so I need to do a service. Let's see if it's firewall. Restart. Let's make sure that it took out those entries. And let's see, SSH SMTP. So I have a mail server and I have my time protocols coming through. I don't really need that one either. So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of SMTP. I don't need that either. I don't have a mail server running on this box. And so we'll restart it again and we'll check it, make sure that it's gone. It is. And I just have a time service port open, which is fine. Probably wouldn't even need that, actually. So, all right. So right now, as it stands, I have just done my basic script. Now I am going to go in. Since I've been lazy. I know I've been lazy. I did not put this piece in, and I need to. So all the stuff that is changed is dumped at the end of the file here. So I need one called protocol 2, and then we will. I know I should be using SSHD, but hey, I should be using system control. But you know, I hate system D. Anyway, I just refused to use it. Let's see. So we should be all set here. Let's go see. Now, I am still missing a couple of things. I'm missing RK Hunter. Yeah, that's a problem. I've noticed that on some of my other machines too, where once I've done the initial installs on some of the software, that it seems to have a problem with trying to find the util.py, and I wonder if that is supposed to come back and suggest here's the command you use to go find that if it's not here on the system. But yeah. So anyway, let me go get that. I'm also going to get I have a config file that will fix about 99% of the false positives that our RK Hunter will give. So let's see. The other thing I need is I need the 2 issue files, and there's just some noise words in those. The issue files are the things that display this system is used for official blah 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 blah. And if if you're using the system, you have to be authorized. It's that kind of garbage. But anyway, it's not going to keep an attacker away, but it will keep Linus happy because Linus will flag you. And the other thing I need is my syscontrol configuration. I have one that's already set up, and I have a default aid that I'll share with you. This is not the one I use, but I'll share this with you. You can choose, like I said before, you can choose which ones you want aid to protect. And that's really up to you. It's best that you don't show everybody what you're protecting, what you're not, in case somebody gets in. But I'll show you where I start, and then you can modify this the way you want. I'll put these up. I guess I'll put this up on my GitHub page. I guess I'll do that, and I'll get these out here for you. So if you want to use mine, you're welcome to. I'll share my RK Hunter file with you too. So all right, so let's. So yes, I have some manual steps. I told you I've been lazy. So the first thing I want to do is untar that. And to install it, yes, and somebody pointed out that there aren't any rootkits for Linux. Yeah, there used to be. I have run across them, and guess how they came in? They came in on this. So if you don't think there are rootkits that are available for Linux, let me tell you something. Yes, there is. And I have seen them personally, and Sony was one of the main perpetrators of that. They actually had rootkits installed on their USB keys. So yeah, if you don't think there's not rootkits on Linux, think again. Not install. I want to install. All right, so got that done. And then I'm going to do an update to make sure that there are some new rules that have come down. And then I'm going to do a check. Oh, wait, before I do that, let me do a sudo move rkhunter.conf to Etsy. And then we'll do rkhunter. I'll probably have to correct a couple of these because Ubuntu moves, we used to have positions for system bin and user bin, and Ubuntu has dumped them all into user bin. Bad. I mean, I know Debian started that, and that's really a bad idea, personally. But I've talked about that before. The whole reason behind /bin and /lib was they were supposed to contain the necessary applications to bring a system up in the event that your other drives had failed, or you had a disk controller that failed and bringing up the other drives. And if you are separating your system, just remember that the utilities you need in order to bring up a system from boot aren't going to be there if you are mounting user later. So yeah. Oh well. Okay, so I've got a few problems here, and I pretty much know where they are. Yeah, it's egreep, fgreep, which, and LWP request. Okay, so let's fix that. So we get a clean run. And let's say egreep, I want to find that. Yeah, see, it should be, oops. Same here. And that needs to be just uncommented. So let's see. It won't take long. I just want to make sure this is clean before we go any further. And then I'll do a prop update, and we'll settle the last error that it generates, which is that it hasn't recorded. It also records signatures to see if things have been modded, which is the reason why I run RK Hunter. And the other thing I've told you before is that if you're hosting Windows files has rootkits. And so if you're not checking for them, you're spreading them. I'm probably going to have to put, I've used bad words in this video because some of the rootkit names are kind of nasty. So yeah, I'll probably have to do that. Put this is not safe for advertisers. but oh well. So the only thing that I haven't fixed is this. Oops. And we'll fix that right now, which is to basically take the signatures and write them to disk. Now, this is only going to do the ones that are checked. So the applications that it's checking, and the reason why I had to whitelist egrep and fgrep and some of those, and which is that RK Hunter is looking for an application, a binary. And Ubuntu has changed those, actually Debian has changed those to a script. So, and it doesn't like that. It's going, I expect this to be a binary, and it's not. It's a script, so I have to whitelist them. That's the reason why I had to do that. So, all right, so we're clean as far as RK Hunter is concerned. So the next thing I want to do is, let me show you the base aid config that I have here. So I'm going to be checking, so I've got this thing laid out so that it is adding up a SHA-512. These aren't really useful anymore, the MD5. This is the order, so it generates a whole bunch of keys, SHA-256, 512, MD5, SHA-1, and then down here it does, for the really paranoid, it adds on some additional ones like Tiger and Whirlpool. Now, these are the storage locations for the ADB and the DB new. And so the output, that anything that you'd use to create new signatures will go into this. And any time that it does a update, it'll put it into this. So this is the out file is used by update, the new is used by init. So yeah, and then it's checking etc bin, boot, home, lib, op, root, sbin, user bin. So those are the ones that it's going to write signatures for. If you want more of those, great, have at it. But on this system, a /bin is kind of useless to do because, well, as you can see, it's it's redirected to user bin, so I've already got it covered, but that's all right. That's okay. So I need to do a sudo move aid. And you always have to give it where your position is because, you want to keep that aid configuration file locked down. So once you have it the way you want it, lock it down so that it can't be read, put it someplace that you know where it is, and then use the -C to refer to it again. So, yeah, we're going to do, I think is that right? Yeah, that's right. I just forgot to do. So right now, it runs pretty quick because it's got 6,571 entries and it's initialized the database. And then these are all the checksums on the database itself. So you have checksums on the files inside the database, and then it has a checksum on the database so that you can save this file off somewhere, and then you'll know that it hasn't been tampered with. So I need to go to var lib aid, and that's where I put my file, and I'll have to do a sudo copy aid db.new to aid.db. So let's just do a check and make sure. Now it's probably going to pick up some log files because I am doing a sudo, and that does get logged. Yep. Yep. So all good. That's all good. And it tells you, here's the changes that have been made, if there's something that's been running or whatever. What is this tracker? I'm going to have to look at that a little bit later. Okay, so that's done. The next thing I need to do is, this is my issue file. And issue file are the same. So I just put some crap in here that makes up some stuff that has all the noise words that Linus is looking for. And if you want to know what those noise words are, you can look in their on their libraries online, or you can just go into the script and look at it. It's yeah. Anyway, you can do that and pull out the junk in there that's in there. So I just need to move these. Oops, probably I need to be sudo to do that, huh? So these will get displayed every time someone logs in. So if I log out now, you'll see here's my blah, blah, blah message. So, okay. Anyway, the next thing I want to do is I want to do a sudo move sys. So first of all, probably, good form. You're going to replace a config file that exists, right? Normally, I would put my syscontrol config into the, if you look here, there's, let's see. Should be right there, syscontrol.d. Normally I'll create like a special one here and I'll just dump my stuff into it. But for today, because I don't care about this system, I'm not keeping it. But you might want to copy this file into like a 50-custom so that you're not blowing away something that you didn't intend to. And they execute in order of number. So if you want yours to be last and not overridden by some other switch, put it last. Oh, oops, not in the right directory. Okay, so all you got to do to put in your new syscontrol values is that. So that's what I'm updating. I think I missed one because I think they've added one since, and again, I've been lazy, but we can go. So I've got RK Hunter done, and Linus will look for that. I have aid done, and Linus will look for that. I have my fail to ban running. Linus looks for that. I have my syscontrols done, and I probably will miss one. And I have my SSH set up correctly, and Linus will look for that. So the only thing I'm really missing at this point is there's a couple of other things I need to do here. Now, I won't get all of them today, but we'll come back. Well, let's see. I probably went way too far. Let's try a UMask. Because I need to go down and set my default UMask. It's right there. And I'm going to set it to 27. Now, what that says is that your default will be read-write execute for the owner. It'll be read-only for the group and no permissions whatsoever for world. So that, yeah. And the next thing I need to do is, now, again, oops. Yeah, don't do that. That won't work. So I'm saying maximum days is 90 days on a password, 9 days. Now, this does not enable it. The next time I talk about security, I'll show you how to enable it in PAM. But right now, all I'm doing is I'm setting up the base rules. So that is not enough to set up password expiration. There's another couple of steps you have to do. But that will get me past Linus as far as having the default thing set up. Then the last thing I need to do here, I think, is in Postfix. Let's see. So they don't like this right here because that's putting too much information out. So we'll get rid of that. And then it'll have one more suggestion for me, which we can do from the command line. So let's see how we've done just in this setup step so far. So I was at 65, right, to begin with. Oh, did I not do a sudo? I didn't. Oops. It tells you, it'll say, hey, you're in non-privileged mode, which means I can't check everything. So you're cheating. I don't want to do that. I wanted to do this on hardware because it will, if it knows it's on hardware, it will go, oh, you need to fix your grub. You need to get a password on that. And yeah, you do. You should have a password on your BIOS too. especially a laptop, because if it gets stolen, guess what? They'll just go in, they'll just go in and undo everything. All right, so we ended up with an 82. So I'm still missing quite a bit of stuff here. But all my warnings have gone because my IP is gone. Yeah, I need to set a root password on the grub, and yeah, system services are going to be a really pain in the butt to deal with. Core dump should be disabled. Yeah, PAM configuration. Now this is where you set up two different things. First is you're setting up that now dev random is not the most random thing, and a lot of people that work in security know that. And there are some tools that you can use and install to make that will push new data into random occasionally. I'll talk about those next time, how you fix the random bugs in Linux. And then, there's some better rounds for the encryption algorithm and so forth. And then we need to blacklist some modules. Now, I don't want to get rid of that one, so I'll probably whitelist that one. Yeah, because I do use that. Yeah, I know you're not supposed to, but I need it. And then I'll blacklist these services out as well. DCCP, SCTP, yeah, we'll blacklist those. Cups configuration, I'll probably just deinstall Cups. I don't need a print server on here. And again, it's back to least principle. If you don't need it, get rid of it, right? And then this one right here I need to do. So I can just copy that command out. And then when we get to the bottom here, they're saying that you've got some services on that your rules aren't covering. So fair. Port 22, yeah, they don't. I told you it would complain about it. It doesn't like it. And then it wants me to install all rlog. Oh my God, no, really? It always wants you to do that. Yeah. Not happening. So let's see. Deleted. Okay, so there are some things that are going on. It wants me to install accounting, which is SARS, or system accounting. And then it wants me to install audit. We'll do that next time. And I'll also put on an ARP monitor so that you can see what's coming in. It wants me to improve my random number generator, and I'll show you how to fix that. Automation tools are present. They're present, but they're on a different system. This is referring to Ansible or Chef or Puppet, but it wants to know. I mean, this is set up for commercial use, not for home use. Now, whether or not you want to whitelist that, okay, you probably can. File permissions aren't as strict as they should be, and double check the permissions on the home directory. I'll do that right now, but first, let me just fix that one. And it needs a sudo in front of it. Okay, that one's taken care of, and then we'll go to home. It's probably set. Yeah, they're not right. So, what they want is that. That's what they want. So yeah, they'll be much happier. Now I could have gone all the way down with that, but yeah, anyway. So that's as far as I'm going to go today. I mean, that's quite a lot, right? So just to recap, what have we done? I installed a brand new system. I did my package updates, and I've done at least some of the initial things that I need to do. Oh, one other thing that I didn't do. Let me run this so you can see what the verify looks like. So if something has been modified, it's going to pop out here as saying that the package version of 10 periodic does not match what was put on the host. So all of these are saying these have been modified. That's what this 5 code says, is it says this was modified since the package was installed. The C means it was done properly. So I don't know what it improperly would be. All I did was I just replaced the files with my own. And I went in and did a change here using sudo to do that. So it's saying it's okay, this is fine because I'm in the sudo group and I'm allowed to change, and that's what it's checking, I believe, is what it's checking to do that. So anyway. So what did we accomplish? We installed a new operating system from the ground up. We updated the packages. Went through and set up Ansible in order to be able to access this host. I did a test on it. And, first of all, I moved over my keys, my public keys, to Yellow Ice. And then I did a test to make sure I could ping it. I also did a test to make sure I could SSH into the box. Always a good idea to do that. Just check and make sure that it is going in and not requesting a password. Ansible sometimes gets a little funny about that, especially if it's expecting it to work. And it doesn't have a password, it's put away somewhere. And you haven't asked for it to prompt you. It will. You can do that. You can have it prompt you for the password each time if you want. But it's better to run without passwords with SSH, right? Talked about that. So then I did my initial init, and I will share those scripts. My scripts are out on Ansible Galaxy, and so are Jeff's. So I haven't updated mine in a while. Told you I've been lazy. I need to do that and get those updated for you guys. And but I'll also put the files that I have modified here out there for you on GitHub. Let's see. We did the initial install, and then I went through and did some manual steps to set it up. The end result of this was we were at 82, is that right? 82%. So that's pretty good for the first cut. It's not good enough, but it's good enough for a first cut. Will we get past 90%? Probably not, because a lot of these things, the way Linus counts this up is if it is checking the test, it adds it to the total score. And so if you blacklist Linus from running a test, then it knows it keeps the total score. It doesn't recalculate it. So if you just decide, I don't want to run the test, that's fine. It just doesn't add it to the score, and you're still at 82%. So yeah, it's not going to give you any points for throwing something away. Now, in this case right here, goodbye cups. And if it breaks something at this point, I don't care. Good riddance. So yeah, it also removed Bluetooth, so that's fine too. So, anyway, so let me get back over here. Hope you enjoyed this today. At least a start down the initial steps that I want to do, and I will be doing these once a week. So your system is, at least if you've gone out and picked up Ansible and you've gone through Jeff's tutorials on how to do it and how to set that up. I didn't show you how to get the stuff and how to put it in, but there is a commit after you install the. You'll want 2.9 or higher. I think most of Jeff's scripts are around 2.8 or higher, and mine are about 2.7. So yeah, like I said, I haven't updated mine in a while. Did I mention that? Yeah. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this today. Hope to see you next week. Probably be toward the end of the week, and I'll do this again, and we'll pick up from where we left off here. I'll leave this alone. I won't destroy this yet, but yeah, we'll keep picking up and we'll keep moving through it to try to make it more secure. So hope you enjoyed this. Hope to see you again real soon. Bye for now.